All right, welcome to WNYU 89.1 FM. My name is Diana, and I'm here with you guys, Mo Lowda and the Humble. It's a lively Friday night here in Hall of Williamsburg in Brooklyn, New York. And if you guys don't mind, I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves and who you guys are on stage.
Sure. I'm Jordan. I sing lead and play guitar.
My name's Shane. I play drums.
And so we're here tonight in Brooklyn, New York, Hall of Williamsburg. And I feel like you guys have been on a tour for a minute. It almost feels like, I don't know, when you guys find the time to relax. But it's because you guys have done a summer tour, spring tour, and a fall tour. But I know you guys had to cancel tour back then in 2020. You guys were getting ready to perform your new album at that time, Ready Coat. So how's it been, kind of coming back to after this whole new resurrection of a crowd, I guess, after having to cancel one of those tours?
I think it's been an adjustment getting back on the road, I think, for everybody and going back to shows again, There's a palpable energy that people have really missed it. There's no doubt. But then there's still some ups and downs. I'm still navigating, COVID's not gone, It seems to be much less of a threat, and the numbers are doing what they're doing. But if one of us gets COVID, it can cost us a lot of money and a lot of shows, and a lot of people make plans around going to see bands these days. So just the wrench is still thrown into the whole experience. But as far as getting back on the road, we missed it so much. So yeah.
So you guys average over 100 dates per year, which is definitely
lower than that now, but yeah,
a little bit lower. I think you guys have been around for a while, and you mark 10 years next fall, if I'm correct, which it's definitely a milestone. But with that, there is a question of how have you guys, you guys are constantly on the road. You're sort of just maintaining this, maintaining yourself, maintaining sort of this personal sanity, I guess. I know a lot of people had to cancel recently, a lot of artists recently due to mental health and all that. And I'm kind of curious, what practices, is there anything that you guys feel is highly important in your time?
How to stay sane.
How to stay sane.
How to stay sane on the road.
Lucky for us, it's more than a job, really. It's playing music is what we love to do. When we're hanging out at home, we play music, and that's kind of the therapeutic element for us. Things go wrong, the van breaks, someone gets sick, but at the end of the night, you get to play music and perform, and that's definitely a mental release.
And we're also all really close friends, which helps.
Yeah.
I think the dynamic of touring with anyone is difficult enough, let alone someone you don't vibe with or you don't get along with. So I think having that basic connection grounded in respect and years of friendship is a huge kicker to staying sane and keeping each other sane. It's not an easy lifestyle. It's a weird choice to make, but I don't think I'd make another one.
Yeah, definitely. And you guys, just to give some context to any listeners, you guys are originally from Philly, and you started off sort of in these house show scenes, playing college bars with Temple University. And now you guys are playing all these amazing venues. And actually, so today's November 18th. You guys are playing your Philly show tomorrow.
Yes.
So your big hometown show. How does it feel? You guys grew up in this music scene in college, or in this whole, playing different venues. And now tomorrow you got a chance to play Union Transfer, and you're playing Brooklyn Bowl tomorrow. How does it feel to get kind of on stage, especially these Philly shows? Because it's kind of a difference, I guess.
Yeah, it feels amazing. It's playing to your friends and family. It's always been a fun thing. You grow a bigger family and friend base as you go on. So it's kind of you kind of have to throw yourself backstage sometimes because you really just want to hang out, party, and catch up with everyone you've met through your whole life who's coming out to support you.
It's impossible.
Yeah,
it's really literally impossible to see all the people you want to see at a hometown show, and that's what makes it great. Your head's spinning the whole night because there's so much love in the room, and it is really cool seeing childhood friends or college friends with people that you just met recently. Kind of all being in the same place, but it can be a little overwhelming. So yeah, you say you have hellos as much as you can, and then maybe there's an after party you say more hellos then. But the hometown shows are fun and also for that reason. But as far as like you said, we started out playing in Philly and playing in smaller rooms, and we recently have been hitting a lot of like bucket list venues. This being one of them, Bluebird Theater in Denver, Union Transfer. Just a lot of rooms where back in the day we were playing this small bar around the corner and saying, "Oh, it'd be good to get to that room," and now we're there and we're saying, "Okay, what's the next room? What's the next room?" But definitely enjoying it while it's happening.
I hope you guys have a lot of fun at your Philly show tomorrow and enjoy yourselves. I know it's definitely you guys. Bowling alley is always a more interesting venue. But I hope you guys enjoy that show. And I think last time you guys were here in Brooklyn, New York, we played the Sultan Room. Yeah. So now you guys are starting to hit these milestone venues and getting a chance to, I don't know, it's definitely an experience that I think a lot of artists sort of recognize. I don't know if that makes sense, but recognize in their own time as a musician.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, throughout reading, like I was mentioning earlier, throughout reading all your Facebook comments, everything all your fans had to say, you guys are one of those musicians where it's almost like, I always tell my friends, I say, you got to see them live before you got to see them live. You can listen to the music, but I think seeing them live is sort of what changes your perspective and makes them from your number 5 on the list to number 1.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think that kind of proves, because you guys released this year, you released your first live album. Do you guys ever find yourself sort of adapting to the crowd when you're performing live, or getting that chance to, I know you guys have done different live performances like the Audio Tree, our vinyl sessions. Is there anything that I feel like you adapt to the crowd, you adapt to the energy in the room, or you adapt to even just being in a studio recording live?
I mean, I think
different.
Everything's good. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the live versions on that record and then you go back to when they were recorded, everything has just changed, and we try to be more expressive and embellish certain parts of those songs live that that we want to really stick out and try to take the biggest, most rapping parts, out of the room, and then try to keep the quieter, more subdued parts even quieter, because we love dynamics, and I think getting to play these new songs, they're already taking a form of their own live as well. We also just, like, every night we feed off the crowd, we feed off the energy before the crowd's even in the room. Like, you might sound check and be like, it's just not the night for this song, or you're sound check and you're like, oh, we got to play this.
Yeah, that happens tonight.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Or you see the opening bands and see what's working for them, and you're like, all right, we're playing nothing but rockers. So cut the slow ones. This crowd is too rowdy right now. We're not gonna have. It's not gonna be quiet enough for some of the slow ones. And then sometimes it's a really incredibly respectful and quiet and not subdued, but just responsive crowd. And you can break out the weird ones that you might not normally, be able to play a smaller club where the energy is roughest.
Absolutely.
And I mean, so kind of transitioning over to your music, you guys have a self-titled album coming March 3rd of 2023,
Yep.
which is definitely, so far you guys have released 2 singles, Kaya and Beach Town. But I am curious, I mean, very few artists sort of take this approach. What was kind of the creative decision, or just like the executive decision that went behind announcing this album kind of far in advance? And then, if I'm correct, you guys are releasing a new single every month of Friday of
5 months.
Yeah. So what was, I mean, I'm curious, what was this like creative choice behind?
I think that's kind of the way people are consuming right now. If any sort of management or anybody behind the scenes of any artist right now had their way, it'd be just singles, and then maybe the 12 singles you've released compile as an album. That's supposed to be the way, and the quotes that you're doing it. We kind of found a medium because there's 12 songs on it, so I don't feel as though we're giving away the whole album through singles. It's still more than half of the record that won't be out until release day. But the reality is, like, keeping that ball rolling, just continuing to release things is good for one of those things. It's good for just staying on people's radar. landscape is changing. It's constantly changing, and right now people are incredibly sort of focused in moments, small, short moments, and that's what singles create. I think it maybe was influenced by the attention span and the lack thereof of folks these days, but we're hoping people like all the singles, and then they just want to dive into the record. We chose 5 singles that kind of
it's pretty
touch
diverse.
on every single corner, so to speak, every nook and cranny of this record. So there's not just 5 rockers and then the rest of the album is all the slow stuff. It's a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I mean, sort of to highlight the most recent single that came out was Caiola, and that song is written from the perspective of the protagonist and for the crawdads sing.
Of Tate.
Of Tate.
Yeah,
Tate. Okay,
Tate.
just making sure. Yes,
Yeah.
but it was written and recorded within 36 hours. So what was that? I mean, the process was this sort of like in the mind, you had to record it had to be done in that second, or why was this choice to kind of finish that song?
Yeah, I think it happened really naturally. I picked up Jeff's baritone guitar, just a little bit lower than a guitar, and just started playing that droning kind of riff over and over. And Shane was like, "That's really cool, keep doing that." It was like at the end of a rehearsal or something. It wasn't like, "Hey, let's try and write a song right now." And he just kept doing that kind of mallet thing on the floor tom.
Droned it for like a while.
Yeah, put in the other room. I think at one point with Jeff and they had my vocals coming through the other room in the studio, and they pretty much just listened to me work out the lyrics for about 2.5 hours. And we were like, "This is awesome. I don't think we need much else." And then Jeff and I put in the next day. We just recorded all the vocals and guitars, and then Shane came in with the drums. We added some finishing touches all together. And yeah, it's just kind of like we were like, "Let this be what it is. One vocal throughout, no doubling, no harmonies, just a performance all the way through." It's kind of the way it ended up.
And I mean, so going off of that, I mean, a lot of musical artists, they always get asked a question: what's your musical influence? What was your favorite band growing up? And I mean, those are great questions, but I think sort of going off of this, that this is coming inspired by film. A question that I had was, apart from musical influences, are there any non-musical influences that sort of affect your sound or like your lyrics? So coming like films, books, other sort of media that you consume.
Landscapes, like just
Touring this country.
the general beauty of the nation.
Yeah.
The different mountains and oceans and everything you get to see.
Yeah, it's a big, beautiful country, that's for sure. That definitely links into the content. But I think I've always been influenced by movies or stories and books or stories of other people. There's a song on the record kind of influenced by a situation that my mom went through or kind of going through with her partner who moved across the country. So, the challenges in making that work, but also the commitment to saying, no, this is still something I want to continue, even though we're going to be far away from each other. That kind of influenced one of the songs, kind of wrote it from my own perspective. So yeah, I think it's kind of stories of other people tangled with stories of ours. It doesn't have to just be the band for listening to. I think the possibilities are endless when it comes to lyrical content. Just trying to explore that.
Definitely, and I mean, so not to give too much away for the upcoming album, but there is. You guys are also approaching 10 years next fall with "Curse the Weather" that came out, and I guess what has this been this evolution of your change of your sound, change of who you guys are as a band, coming from when you first released that first album to now, to getting, you guys are going to hit this milestone next fall, and hopefully even, I don't know, but you guys anticipate maybe even doing for that? But I'm sort of curious, I mean, what has this different?
We're definitely older, made the other songs when we're young and rowdy and, I mean, still ambitious, and we still do love those songs. You get into different things and you want to show people different parts of yourself or different parts of your craft, and
yeah, we're constantly trying to stretch, so it's like we've never put out a song that resembles Caiola. It's fun to do something like that. Sure, you could take a ripping guitar solo. Sure, I could belt and scream all day. doesn't need to happen every song. It's like there are songs that we do that, and I know people love some of that early stuff, and like Shane said, we still have love for those songs too. Just you grow up and you change, and most of the stuff we listen to is not ripping rock and roll, So we're into stuff that is really emotive and textural and patient and has a bunch of space, and that's kind of what we've started leaning towards.
And I mean, have you guys found it sort of easier to let yourselves become more vulnerable when it's writing your lyrics, or you say
I certainly have, yeah.
Like in this, was it sort of a rough transition to allow yourself to?
I think it just comes with years and years of doing it. Like, it's funny, I'll look back at old lyrics and I'm like, it's interesting that I had such a macro view in that, in that mind state, and now it kind of is a little more, focused on detail, or like, I would say like a detail that applies to me might not exactly apply to the listener, but they can, swap it out for any detail of their own life. And I think I've started to listen to more music like that, and therefore I've started to write a little bit more in that vein, which I enjoy. I like being a little more visual these days, but it definitely takes time to like get vulnerable and get comfortable with yourself, be confident in what you're writing.
Absolutely, yeah. So, well, we're looking very forward to hearing the album, and I think this anticipation is sort of building up, especially tonight in the room. And I know you guys have definitely, you guys have fans who have been here for a long time, or maybe fans that are just starting to listen now. And throughout this whole time, you've been touring a lot. There's definitely been some rough patches with touring. I know a lot of things related to the band, anything in that world. But it's always admirable, I guess, to see artists like yourselves pull through and allow themselves to continue with this sort of passion, despite a lot of obstacles in the way, sort of trying to bring them down. And I mean, I'd love to talk about the releases of this year. So you guys came out with an EP, Lily Pad / Snowbird.
Mm-hmm.
These songs have a very warm tone to them. But the idea of Snowboard came to you almost 5 years ago, if that's correct.
Yeah, the original riff.
The original riff came to you almost 5 years ago, and you decided to revisit. I think it was just a crazy it
was like a voice memo, or like I think I demoed it out with I know I demoed it out with our friend Nick Sislak, who plays in another band, and he's got some engineering credits on this next record as well. He's just one of our best buds, and he's a great musician in his own right. And we just were kind of sipping some old fashions and just playing that riff over and over, and it never fully formed itself. And then I kind of revisited it at some point when I was digging through some stuff, kind of, go back through the archives and spark something, and then totally restructured the song around that riff.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I mean, so you felt like it was time to sort of, was there this?
I think I was just stretching I think I was just like clawing for something. You hit, I don't want to call them blocks, but you hit moments where you're like, I don't know if I have any ideas right off the top, but I have 1,000 voice memos that half of them I've never gone back to, and maybe something perks your ear in that in that library, and then you're writing from a 5-year later perspective, and the maturity of everything we know now about the studio, about getting sounds, and about songwriting. So it's like a time capsule. It's like finding treasure.
And I mean, going off of that topic, so just to end it off here, we here at WNYU 89.1 FM, our college radio station, and a lot of our listeners are fellow students or younger musicians who are sort of just starting to set their tone, just like you guys 10, 11, 12 years ago in this college bar scene, house party scene, all that. And I mean, this is a classic question, but what would you, to these listeners, to these kids who are kind of in the same position you guys once were?
Find your group, find your friends, find the people that you want to be doing that kind of thing with. And like frequency is king, like just play.
Yeah.
Just play, create.
Be a bad band for a while.
Yeah.
And slowly get into being a decent band and then a good band. Someone literally just sent me, maybe 5 minutes ago, the video of Frank Zappa, and he's asked the same question. And I think his answer is the best. He goes, "The two things you need to know: one, don't ever stop, and two, keep going." He's like, and then it's still going to be hard. And that's honestly, Shane's been my ride or die from day one, and like we just have never, it's never even been a conversation of if it's going to end. It's just never even been a thought. So it's just keeping that momentum and just being like, okay, what's next? Okay, that single didn't do what we wanted it to. What's next? What are we writing? What are we doing? Where are we touring? You know, it's just keeping that forward momentum.
Well, thank you guys so much for speaking to me. I hope you guys have a great show, and I'm looking very forward to seeing you guys live. You guys can find Mo Lowda and the Humble on Facebook, Instagram at Mo Lowda, and YouTube to catch out all their live performances, as well to stay updated on the release of the self-titled album, which is coming out March 3rd, 2023. And you guys are not going anywhere, like you said. This is only something that's continuing to evolve. You guys are beginning to hit these milestone venues, which is great to hear. So if anyone's listening and didn't get a chance to see them on this tour, you'll have the chance to do that. But thank you guys so much for speaking with me. And this is WNYU 89.1 FM.